Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, we've got to take a look at a whole bunch of trainer cards, and some of these, ladies and gentlemen, some of these look really, really good. And, I mean, two of them, for my money, and three of them, in fact, three of them are going to make huge impacts on the metagame, and then there's a couple of others we'll mention quickly at the end. But first of all, I don't know where to start. Roseanne's backup. Now, we love Roseanne. Roseanne makes us happy. Roseanne's research back in the day, that's a good card, wasn't it? I saw a little bit of play. Roseanne's backup is nuts. Now, I should mention all of our translations here come from the lovely Antoine Boulet, which honestly shouldn't surprise you at this point. Antoine's awesome. Often provides translations. We like Antoine. But what Roseanne's backup does is you can choose one or more of the following. Shuffle one Pokemon from your discard pile into your deck. Shuffle one tool from your discard pile into your deck. Shuffle one stadium from your discard pile into your deck. Shuffle one energy from your discard pile into your deck. Now, the translation we've got from Antoine is pick one or more, which means essentially, if you so wish, you can do all of them. That, ladies and gentlemen, is absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Like, there was a point when I thought this card, I read it very quickly. I thought it let you choose between them, and I was like, well, you know, getting back one Pokemon, not great. Tool, not great. Oh, Stadium and Energy Recovery? Yeah, I might be able to get on board with that. And then I'm like, wait, it's all of them? And at that point, it is absolutely flat out nuts. Absolutely ridiculous. Because one of the things that needs to be pointed out here, this does not say shuffle one basic energy. It says shuffle one energy. What that means is we have actual legitimate special energy recovery. We don't really have special energy recovery right now. By which I mean we don't have proper special energy recovery. Obviously, if you are playing a single strike deck, you've got Urn of Vitality, which will get back your single strike energy, but it will only get back single strike energy. That doesn't really count. And now we're getting back a Pokemon and a tool and a stadium and an energy, and that is absolutely just nuts. Just absolutely a little bit ridiculously nuts. And I think we should all be very, very excited about this, quite frankly. Sure, it's your supporter for the term, but we got a million things around. I showed you Bibarel the other day. Maybe yesterday. Lets you draw until you've got 5 cards in your hand. There are decks like Genesect, or decks that use Genesect, that have got that as a draw engine. We've got plenty of Pokemon draw at the moment, because generally speaking, you don't want to give up your draw for the turn using a supporter, unless you've got good enough draw anyway, and this basically gives us good enough draw anyway. It's just ridiculous. This is an absolute flat-out 5 Wassy card, and if you are a control player, this is going to get back a lot of your tricks. And that is, yeah, that could be a little bit of a problem. Not if you want to play control decks, it's going to be great. But if, like me, you want to avoid playing against them, that could be a bit of a problem. But let's not actually look past Choice Belt. Because Choice Belt, well, this could be a pretty good card now, couldn't it? You see, what this one does is, it's a Pokemon tool, obviously. And the attacks of the Pokemon this card is attached to do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon V, not the bench, just the active. Now, it must be borne in mind here, this is extremely important, that Pokemon V Max and Pokemon V Star absolutely do count as Pokemon V. So yeah, that's kind of ridiculous. I mean, it's just Choice Band. It is literally Choice Band, except instead of doing 30 more to Pokemon GX or EX, it does 30 more to Pokemon V, including VMAX and V-Star. Outside of that, it's exactly the same as Choice Band. So I don't really need to tell you how good this card is unless you're a really new player. If you are a really new player, this card is absolutely not so good and is going to see a huge amount of play. There's no restriction on who can use this card. You can put it on a Pokemon V, V-Star, V-Max, etc. You can put it on whoever you like. and then you get to go and do the whole damage thing. It's ridiculous. You are going to see this in a whole bunch of decks because it's just an extra 30 damage. It's kind of like Vitality Band if Vitality Band was 3 times as good. Obviously, Vitality Band works against anything. This only works against Pokemon V, but enough of the format is Pokemon V that I don't know how much you should be worried about that. This is next level, quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen. It is just... It's hard for me to explain quite how good this card is and quite how much of an impact it's going to have. Yes, obviously, it's a 5 WotC card. That really shouldn't surprise anyone. But now we are going to get more Pokemon going towards one-hit KOing V-Maxes and V-Star. Vs are going to be KOing themselves more easily. This is going to be a hyper-played card. It is Redonk. Oh wait, there's one other ridiculously good card here. Collapse Stadium. Each player cannot have more than 4 bench Pokemon. If more than one effect changes the number of bench Pokemon, use the smaller number. That's very important. If a player has 5 or more bench Pokemon when this card is played, they discard until there's 4 remaining. And like so many of these cards we see nowadays, this should sound rather familiar to you. It's Sudowoodo. This is the Sudowoodo from Guardians Rising, except instead of being a one-sided ability that hurts your opponent, it hurts both of you. Having said that, Sudowoodo basically was an empty bench space, so it kind of did it to both players. This is really good. We like Sudowoodo. We like this. Any deck that relies on having a large amount of bench Pokemon, Eternatus, as an example, is going to absolutely hate this. Eternatus wants to have 8 bench spots. This is going to give them 4. That's a little bit of a problem. I mean, it doesn't really see any play, but Snorlax, just in case, that's kind of good. But then again, something like Genesect. This is going to put Genesect down to drawing a maximum 5 cards per turn. Of course, for Genesect, you could play Path to the Peak and they'd be drawing a maximum 0 cards per turn. Might be something you want to look into. But the point is, any deck that relies on having a large bench, this is going to really hurt. But even against others, like this is one of those cards, I say this quite a bit in my videos. If you really want to know how good this card is, play the game whereby next time you're playing Pokemon, just every so often look at your board and say, what would happen if I had to drop one of my Pokemon? If I couldn't have this full bench, what would happen? And the answer is a lot of the time you would be forced to discard a card you just don't want to discard, and that should tell you everything you need to. No, this is not like Parallel City. Parallel City was a 2-sided stadium. We used to have those back in the day. And one side would mean that Grass, Fire and Water Pokemon do 20 less. The other side was limited to 3 bench Pokemon, so you could limit your opponent but not yourself, and it was to 3 rather than to 4. Obviously, this is not quite the same as that. But that's not the point. The point is, it is a very good card, which is going to hurt your opponent immensely and be an awful lot of fun. For you, not for your opponent. Those are, and this is, I don't know, between 4 and 5 WotCs. We don't give half WotCs, that would be barbaric. Now, those are the really good new cards, and make no mistake about it, they are really good new cards. I think Choice Belt is going to be everywhere. I think Roseanne's backup is going to make some super annoying decks super good. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know how much play Collapse Stadium is going to see, but I know it's going to be out there enough to really hurt some decks, and that's going to be a pain. The other two are not quite so impactful. Sorry about that. But they are still kind of annoying. So we've got Fresh Water Set. It's back, ladies and gentlemen. Fresh Water Set is back. Don't know how many of you were desperately hoping for a reprint of Fresh Water Set, but it's here. It's a card that came out once before in Primal Clash, and it's just an item card that heals 20 damage from each of your Pokemon. So in terms of, just base healing, it is very literally weaker than Potion, which is your starter for 10 healing card. Potion used to be 20, but they upped it to 30 a few years back. But it's healing all of your Pokemon. It's kind of spread healing. It's going to be good in some matchups. There are going to be sometimes where doing that little bit of damage prevention is going to be kind of big. There are going to be games where it helps, alright? But let's not kid ourselves that this is going to be some amazing card that is all of a sudden going to start taking over the metagame. It's a nice little card that could work nicely in some decks. But Freshwater Set didn't see a huge amount of play back in the day. I don't expect it to see a huge amount of play now. And then we finish off with Pot Helmet. If the Pokemon this card is attached to doesn't have a rule box, it takes 30 less damage from your opponent's attacks. And then the lovely Antoine Boulet added in, and it's still going to get one hit KO'd anyway. Which is probably a fair point to make. Because you see, if you don't have a rule box, you're not going to have that much HP. Generally speaking, kind of 160 at the higher end. So this means your opponent needs to do 190 to get a one-hit KO. Well, who's not doing 190 nowadays? Genesec's doing 210. Ice Rider Calyrex is doing 250. I'm not going to keep going here. You get the point. Everyone's hitting that. So who cares? Sorry. We've seen a bunch of these cards before. I mean, I mentioned Choice Band a minute ago. This is kind of similar to Choice Helmet. Choice Helmet took 30 less damage from GX and EX Pokemon, regardless of who it was attached to. This, if you attach it to a non-V Pokemon, essentially, takes 30 less damage. It's not exactly the same, but it's not a million miles away. To put it bluntly, it gives extra survivability to Pokemon that don't have much survivability to begin with, and probably won't survive hits from many Pokemon even after this is attached. And for that reason, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I just don't think it's going to be good enough. I'd like to be wrong, it's a fun little card, but I do rather suspect this is going to end up being somewhat disappointing. Sorry about that. But I want to know what you think. So let me know in the comment section, would ya? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.